Part 5 of the wasteland, what the thunder said. We have seen the forces of the elements in the previous parts. We have seen how men suffer through fire, water, earth, and air. So, what remains? Where is going to be the salvation? In a world which is broken, how can salvation be reached? Who will be the guiding force? So many questions, and one voice which is trying to give us some idea to give hope for renewal when everything fades. This is what Eliot will be trying to do in the 5th part. So without further ado, let us look into the text. After the torchlight red on sweaty faces, after the frosty silence in the gardens, after the agony in stony places, the shouting and the crying, prison and palaces and reverberation of thunder of spring over distant mountains. He who was living is now dead. We who were living are now dying. With a little patience. Here, Eliot uses two major allusions, and they served as the backdrop of Eliot's developmental idea. One involves the story of Jesus' resurrection, the other is the story of Chapel Perilous, which appears in the Grail legend. See, there is this line, he who was living. This is Christ. There is some idea of wasting away, dying away, which we had seen in the previous section as well. In the previous section, Death by Water, we see that there is a link to the past blending into the present. And here he is giving some idea about what the present looks like. Let's note the words sweaty faces, frosty silence, agony in the stony faces. All these different pictures give off the emotion of disillusionment, the emotion of decay. This is a referral to the Imagism, an early 20th century poetry movement that favored precision of imagery over clear, sharp language. Eliot is giving images and not giving words referring to emotions. He is giving words referring to certain pictorial situations. Out of them, the reader is forming own emotional connections. This is the objective correlative which Eliot emphasized. There is a noticeable word used in repetition, the word after, as if he is trying to build up an anticipation. There is a natural expectation. After describing something bad, you will talk about something good. Is he doing that? Is he referring to Christ who was living just a few days back is now dead? Is he talking about a transitional moment after Christ's birth and before his resurrection? He is talking about an intermittent time suspended between the death of Christ and his resurrection. What was happening to the people around him? They were expectant, they were hopeful, or were they in despair? Did the people know that Christ was going to be resurrected? He goes on to describe the scene. Let's read on. Here is no water, but only rock, rock and no water, and the sandy road. The road winding above among the mountains, which are mountains of rock without water. If there were water, we should stop and drink. Amongst the dry rock, one cannot stop or think. So it is dry and feet are in the sand. If there were only water amongst the rock. Dead mountain mouth of carious teeth that cannot spit. Here one can neither stand nor lie nor sit. There is not even silence in the mountains. but dry, sterile thunder without rain. There is not even solitude in the mountains, but red sullen faces sneer and snarl from doors of mud cracked houses. If there were water, and no rock, if there were rock, and also water, and water, a spring, a pool among the rock, if there were the sound of water only, not the cicada, and dry grass singing, but sound of water over a rock, where the hermit thrush sings in the pine trees. Drip, drop, drip, drop, 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 drop. But there is no water. So we see that he is describing the scene. But the question is, how can sweat be dry? He mentions dry sweat. Sweat makes you feel dry when it becomes dry. It becomes an agent of dryness. All the sweat itself is formed of water. The whole scene is a vivid description of a journey through a land where there is no relief. What happens when a person journeys through desert? He begins to hallucinate, has a mirage in front as if he can see some reflection of water somewhere. That is happening to this person who is encountering this journey. This journey can be a referral to the journey of Emmaus. Following the crucifixion of Christ, two disciples walked on the road to Emmaus, sharing their shattered hopes. The mountains are dead because they are not providing the relieving water. They are like baring the teeth, like monster. When we turn this into an idea of metaphor, the wasteland Eliot was seeing around him, the wasteland of modernity, standing up for conviction, sitting down to contemplate, and lying down to rest, neither of these are possible. This curse of modern existence is a curse to not to be able to be in a comfortable position spiritually. Here it is mentioned that there is no silence, not even a place where you can sit back and think about reality. There is a constant disturbance, a disturbance not talking about relief but about anxiety. A very eerie situation is here. The idea of zombied reality or zombied humanity. The idea that people are staring at you from mud cracked cottages, dried up, dehydrated. So there is no solitude, no silence, there is no circumstances for contemplation. This person journeying first wants water and no rock. Then he says that he can manage with rocks only if there was water. The idea of an idyllic space, a paradise, an oasis that is there. Then the person feels that even if there was no water, but the sound of it, he could manage it. But he can't do that because of the disturbing noises which keeps reminding him of dryness. You can see that this hermit thrush is mentioned. Hermit thrush is a bird that produces sound like water dropping into a pool. He creates the image of a paradise, then gives the idea of a fallen state, the wasted state that there is no water. So it's a direct hit to the idea of the romantics that you can create salvation through imagination. This person tries, but suddenly reality hits back. There is no water, so there is no point in imagining this. Let us read on. Who is the third who walks beside you? When I count, there are only you and I together. But when I look ahead up and the white road, there is always another one walking beside you, gliding wrapped in a brown mantle, hooded. I do not know whether a man or a woman, but who is that on the other side of you? Suddenly, the scene shifts, and we are not even sure who is the narrator. Is this Tiresias? Is he commenting on the situation of the present time? During Eliot's time, there was an expedition done to Antarctica. Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expedition. The explorers later gave an account that they couldn't see much, but they could always feel that there was an extra person in the group. It could be seen as death walking beside, or God, or devil. But this identity is never confirmed because it is always in shade. This idea of a third person walking beside is very much evocative of a feeling of anxiety. This whole image of a hooded figure coincides with the idea of death. But this is also a direct reference to the journey of Emmaus. There, Christ appeared among his disciples. They were on a journey, but they were not able to recognize him. It can be explained as in modern times, though God is present among us, we are not able to identify him. It is not that we are abandoned, but it is our failure to understand that there is someone with us. Let us read on. What is that sound high in the air, murmur of maternal lamentation? Who are those hooded hordes swarming over endless plains, stumbling in cracked earth, ringed by the flat horizon only? What is the city over the mountains? Cracks and reforms and bursts in the violet air, falling towers. Jerusalem, Athens, Alexandria, Vienna, London, unreal. A woman drew her long black hair out tight and fiddled whisper music on those strings and bats with baby faces in the violet light, and whistled and beat their wings and crawled head downward down a blackened wall. And upside down in the air were towers, tolling reminiscent bells that kept the hours, the voices singing out of empty cisterns and exhausted wells. Let us look into one particular thing: Hinduism. In Hinduism, the way to salvation is to ask question, to deliberate on life's realities. That is the basis of any philosophical school as well. Only through questioning one can reach true realization. Here we see Eliot is asking the question over and over again. He is creating a situation where he is thinking about Christ's death and the moments before his resurrection. Those are the moments when Mother Mary is weeping for her dead son, that is maternal lamentation. He creates a specific scenario where he talks about a city over the mountains. The phrase violet air is a reminiscence of violet hour, which he already used in the poem, A Moment of Sunset. He is talking about a city, then asking which city is this, as if he can identify the city. He can say in which century he is standing. Wasteland is not only dislocated in space, it is dislocated in time. He is giving names of the greatest cities. Then says unreal. No matter what greatness the city has achieved, it does not matter. If human civilization progress is not real, then what is? If the great tower built by humans are going to fall down, then what is our purpose in life anymore? Eliot will keep bringing woman into this his poem. This woman is playing music. Remember Damsel with a dulcimer in Kubla Khan? This has been a recurrent image. Is Eliot trying to invoke a kind of inspiring figure? If he does, then is he successful in that? Because this woman is not playing confidently. She is fiddling, whisper music, not even kind of sonorous symphony. So imagination fails. The idea of an inspiring muse fails because when he is building the image of a woman playing an instrument, he is also seeing and hearing other things. This music is making the bats react a certain way, which produce sound that humans cannot hear. The repetition of the word down. Then we see the use of the word black. The whole scene with the bats hanging down does not look paradisal at all, rather ominous. So, the music of the woman is echoed through the unheard melodies of the bats. But is it true that heard melodies are sweet, unheard melodies are sweeter? There is no sweetness, only the eerie silence. Right after he talks about upside down bats, he is talking about upside down towers. He is connecting images here. Earlier, he was desperate to connect things and said that he can connect nothing with nothing. Then we come to empty cisterns, exhausted well, no water. Only the sound of one's voice is echoing across them, but there is no sustenance, no water. Let us read on. In this decayed hole among the mountains, in the faint moonlight, the grass is singing. Over the tumbled graves, about the chapel, there is the empty chapel, only the wind's home. If it has no windows and the door swings, dry bones can harm no one. Only a rock stood on the roof tree, cocorico, cocorico, in a flash of lightning. It is as if people have dug out grave to see if any resurrection is possible. Empty chapel. This is the chapel perilous. And the Holy Grail story, found in various legends, typically involves a knight facing perilous things in his life. The legend of Percival. Percival, the knight, had to go on the quest for the Holy Grail and he had to undergo a series of tests. There he comes to the Chapel Perilous. He stays there overnight. Many supernatural things kept on happening. Here, the Chapel Perilous symbolizes spiritual emptiness and modern world fragmentation. Is Eliot trying to tell us that we are on a quest and we have not encountered any chapel? In Grail legend, the final test, Percival was put into a position where he was doubting the presence of God. So, if a chapel which is metaphorically, spiritually, and physically abandoned is placed in front of us, we are supposed to walk in there, stay the night, experience all the creepy supernatural things happening, and we have to retain our faith in God, or we have to rethink whether there is a God. Because it's a chapel. There is possibly a churchyard, possibly it has graves in it. But the bones in the grave are dry. They cannot come out and harm. So, if you have faith, then Nothing can harm us. That is the idea. That is how Percival was tested. But are we strong enough to stand this exercise? Although the chapel is empty, a cockerel's call signifies a dawn. Rain is on the way. The renewal can begin. Potential new life. If we can withstand the night, hold on through baths turning upside down, through the eerie idea of dry bones all around, there will be a moment we hear the roosters crowing. That is salvation. Then a damp gust bringing rain. Ganga has sunken, and the limp leaves waited for rain, while the black clouds gathered far distant over Himavat. The jungle crouched, hummed in silence. Then spoke the thunder. Water has always been considered in every religion a source of salvation. But if it is to be considered the very epitome of salvation, that is in Hinduism. River is Ganga. The moment he mentions rain, he knows how much we readers are waiting for the rain. He mentions Ganga as if to reinforce the idea of how important water is spiritually. When the whole world is a wasteland, when every civilization is falling apart, what is happening to Ganga? What is happening to the East? It is also suffering through some kind of decay, some kind of degeneration. So it is not only affecting the West, it is affecting the East as well. The word black, often used for ominous, a part of racist perspective. But when we talk about dark clouds, they become a symbol of rejuvenation. Only black clouds can bring rain. These black clouds were gathering at a distance over Himalayas. The Himalayas are not only a range of mountains for the Indians, they are like Mount Olympus where gods live. So, the clouds gathering over Himalayas are not only bringing rain, they are bringing the blessings of God, the messages of God. How does a cloud give you the message? Through thunder. So, when the gods want to speak to you, they speak through thunder. Not only in Hinduism, it is a common idea across other religions. Here we see the jungle crouched. The whole creation is waiting for some kind of message of renewal or hope. Let's see what the thunder speaks. Datta, what have we given, my friend? Blood shaking my heart. The awful daring of a moment's surrender, which an age of prudence can never retract. By this and only this we have existed, which is not to be found in our obituaries or in memories draped by the beneficent spider or under seals broken by the lean solicitor in our empty rooms. We see the word the. The onomatopoeia of the word da is significant because when God speaks, He does not speak in any language but through sounds that we can understand spiritually. Here is a reference of Brihadaranya Upanishad, that is the great forest. The fable is rooted in the idea of a great forest, the wisdom of a forest. Prajapati, also conceived as Brahma, he gave advice to his children. Who are his children? Everybody is his children. Sura, Asura, Nara. Sura are the gods, Asura the demons, and Nara are the humans. All of them come to Brahma seeking knowledge. Brahma gives the sound the, and each group interpreted it in a different way. The gods interpreted it as Damyata, the demons as Dayadhvam, and the humans as Datta. The word is the same, but the interpretations that changed. Here at the beginning, he is talking about Datta, the interpretation that humans made. It means to give. It appeared that Prajapati wanted them to give each other, give something without expecting any kind of return. Humans should give each other without expecting glorification or gratitude. That is the only way humans can survive wasteland. Human beings are capable of giving each other unconditionally. That is the only way man has been able to build something, the civilization. It is the only way to build something more than nature expects us. We are born selfish. We only think about what we need to possess. Unless you give away what you possess, you cannot create something new. So, the way to survival is basically to give and not to just receive. This giving will not be recorded in your obituaries. This is what Buddha was talking about. Giving something without expectation is only possible when one detaches oneself completely from the gift. This detachment is possible only if we can cut off the desire to be recognized all the time. Here it is mentioned, or in our memories. This is the line from The White Devil. In The White Devil, Flaminio says, O men that lie upon your deathbeds and are haunted with howling wives, never trust them. They will remarry ere the worm pierce your winding sheets, ere the spider make a thin curtain for your epitaphs. It is a reference of the past. After our death, our memories are woven like spider waves, their webs. It is fragile. You touch it, it disintegrates. So, don't build your empires based on memories of what you have given. What you have given without remembering is a true gift offered to the world. Sometimes we give when we die, when we don't have anybody to inherit our property. The property automatically goes away to orphanages, to state, but this is not something we actually give. Eliot says that we need to understand that nothing remains as we die. So, why are we alive? So, we should give away our possessions without thinking what we are getting in return. Let's look at the next one, Dayadhvam. I have heard the key turn in the door. Once and turn once only. We think of the key, each in his prison, thinking of the key. Each confirms a prison. Only at nightfall, ethereal rumors revive for a moment a broken Coriolanus. Dayadhvam means daya or compassion. Eliot draws from Canto 33, lines 46-47 of Dante's Inferno. Below I heard them nailing up the door of the horrible tower. The speaker is Count Ugolino, an Italian nobleman. A rival captured Ugolino along with his sons and grandsons and imprisoned them in a tower. The tower was locked, and the Count and his family were left to starve. So it's like a prison. When Eliot talks about a prison, we understand that Eliot is not talking about a physical prison, rather, a spiritual one. The walls are building around us, the walls which don't let us see each other with compassion. All are trapped with the prison of our egos, and the key is turned, it is locked. Let me talk about a few lines written by F.H. Bradley in Appearance and Reality. The lines go like, "My eternal sensations are no less private to myself than are my thoughts or my feelings. In either case, my experience falls within my own circle, a circle closed on the outside." So, here Bradley argues that each person's experience of the world is unique and that communication between people is therefore fundamentally ambiguous. The moment we think of ourselves as a single person within the prison, the moment we detach ourselves from the rest of the humanity, it is confirming our loneliness. Because if we imagine ourselves in a prison with lots of friends, it won't be a prison. When we think that we are lonely, we are confirming that this is a prison. He is referring straight back to Shakespeare. Coriolanus is a great Roman soldier who acted out of pride and not duty. So, Coriolanus is a symbol of egotism. It is used here to tell us to come out of our self centered narcissism. Look at the world, feel pity for each other. Because only with compassion you can connect with others and break the walls of your prison. Let's look at the next one, Damyata. The boat responded gaily to the hand expert with sail and oar. The sea was calm. Your heart would have responded gaily when invited, beating obedient to controlling hands. I sat upon the shore fishing with arid plain behind me. Shall I at least set my lands in order? London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. Poi sascos nel foco che lì fina, quando fiam uti Celiodon, O swallow, swallow, le prince de Quentin alla tour obile. These fragments I have sorted against my ruins. Why then, lil fit you? Hieronymus mad again. Datta, Dayadhvam, Damyata. Shantih, Shantih, Shantih. Damyata means restraint, to practice self control. The moment we come out of our selfishness, we see that there is a bigger force. We can surrender. In that surrender, there is a greater peace that we are getting a guidance. Our life is like a boat, and right when we are thinking that we are lost, we are made understand that if we are obedient, we respond. If we can understand the great power which is controlling, then we can sit back and enjoy the ride. It is mentioned the sea is calm. It reminds Arnold's Dover Beach. The sea is calm, but he can hear the disturbing noise of waves crashing on the shore. The sea was deceptively calm then. The calmness was apparent. Underneath these was agitation, despair, and loneliness. Is this sea calm in that way? First, we have absence of water. Then there is the image of a boat sailing on the sea. So there is water now. The water would be calm for real if we could interpret the message of the thunder. One will be safe if one can control impulses, desire. So the heartbeat is matched with the splashing sound of the oars. Why did humans, gods, and demons explain this particular way? Why is this message applicable to these categories? The main problem with humans is that they are built selfish, because that is what survival in nature means. But going against the prevalent idea of Darwin, going against the necessities of survival, one can become more than human. That's why the message to humans was to give to others, get rid of the idea of property. The problem with demons is that they are ruthless. They are so ambitious that they get blinded and act as ruthless ways. They lack compassion. So they must exercise compassion. The problem with gods is that they know that they are gods. So their problem is that they feel like superpowers. They lack humility, and because of which they become less divine. The point is, in each or one of us, there are these impulses, potential to turn into a demon or a god. These teachings are not for separate entities. They are for humans who wish to understand the code of living. The narrative turns back again in first person. The speaker is the Fisher King. The image that haunted us right from the first part of the poem. The Fisher King is sick and wounded. There is a curse in his kingdom. The infertility of the king is related to the lack of prosperity of the land. The knight Percival offered a cure. Find the Holy Grail, the king will be restored. The king is waiting for his regeneration. In a moment suspended between death and rebirth, he is not sure whether he can achieve any miraculous cure. Then we have a peculiar list coming, probably the account of his properties. London Bridge is falling down. A nursery rhyme. How can a nursery rhyme be a property of Fisher King? Lines from Purgatorio. He hid himself in the fire that purifies them. Swallow, swallow, swallow. The myth of Philomela. The swallow is a bird which becomes the symbol of transformation, metamorphosis. Also from the poem Per William Veneris by Tiberianus. When will I be as the swallow? So, does the poet want to transform into a bird? To escape the wasteland, the disorder, the chaos? A sonnet, El Shadow by French writer Gerard de Nerval, the Prince of Aquitania in a ruined tower. These are the things I have collected down the lines. Definitely, the Fisher King is specifically talking about some literary pieces. The poet is rather talking about the full body of literature. He gave some random examples to point out the whole genre of creative writing. Who is the Fisher King? Eliot himself. He feels that he is infertile. He feels that a quest needs to be successfully performed to bring him the rejuvenation. He is at this moment pondering about his properties. As a poet, as a reader, the only asset he has is the whole body of literature he has studied. He can only remember fragments. He cannot connect one with another. These fragments, he mentions, are external literary pieces. Then he says, my ruins. That is something personal. We find that poetic persona is trying to connect and collect all these fragments and make a whole, trying to make sense how he can create something out of it. Il Fitio. From Act 4, Scene 2 of Kids, the Spanish Tragedy. Eliot maintained that Hamlet is built upon Spanish tragedy. The center figure, Hieronymo, is asked to write a play. He said, "Ill fit you." It also means, "I will give you what you have coming." In Hamlet, Hamlet writes a play which ends up revealing that his uncle is a murderer. In both cases, writing a play seemingly harmless activity actually creates an impact. Eliot wants to create something which will be as significant as the work created by Hamlet or Hieronymo. Association of literary creativity with madness, we see. Hieronymo is mad again. So remember here the madman described by Coleridge towards the end of Kubla Khan. Here he says a person inspired is like a madman and everyone is scared of him. Madness and creativity come hand in hand, and Eliot facilitating that suffering through psychological despair, hoping that his writing could bring rain to the intellectual deprivation. He is hoping that this poem will be like an incantation, like a mantra. He wants to feel that we have reached the end of a meditative mantra. It is like reaching the end point of dhyana. You have questioned yourself, reached the depth of doubt, because only from there you can bring the words which will actually mean peace that passes understanding. He does not use one single expression, Shantih, and stop there. He uses it 3 times because he uses the word not only to mean peace, he is using the repetition of the word, the ritualistic chanting of the word, as if he is blessing us. What is the ritual associated with the word? The high priest, after performing the puja, he sprinkles holy water on devotees, as if he is passing on the wisdom, blessing he has received in the ritual through that water. What is Eliot sprinkling on us? He is sprinkling the fragments he has collected all down his age. He is trying to say that the only way to move from the intellectual wastedness is reinvent the past, and through the blessing of those past memories of literature we can move ahead. Here we have to read Traditional and Individual Talent, an essay by Eliot. It's about what to do when one is the prisoner of one's own desires. And if you feel like everything is wasted, so it's not a poem about despair. It is a poem about possibility of hope when everything is tumbled upon. I hope you have enjoyed the study of the wasteland as much as I have enjoyed the explanation. So for more videos like this, keep an eye to my channel and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye bye.